Guys, let me share this with you. Greetings, everyone. It will be a quick one. I think the present generation, I'm not talking about yesterday. Yesterday is history. I'm talking about the now because now is active. And the now will be trying to clear the tomorrow because tomorrow is the future. That's where every child is going to be an adult. And I want to say, most of us who have been discouraged or who have been affected by the system. And it's true, we can't shy away from that. I was thinking alone when I was growing up, the teacher will be trying to concentrate on how to draw a locust and label a locust and label the function of each part on a locust and what it eats, and I tried to think how relevant was that at the time versus what other people were doing or other racial groups were doing. And I think that in itself held us back in terms of progress. One, mentality wise. Secondly, in the old days also, the government allowed and approved highly the use of what is it called, traditional beer. And if I look at it, it was only the African group that was actually taking a lot of traditional beer. And what the traditional beer is doing, if you take it in higher volumes or you consume it in higher quantities, it affects your thinking stimulation. And over long term, your mind becomes redundant. And which is what happened in most of the locations. Worst part, these guys will create a bar. If you think of it, all the locations had a police station and a bar would be blue and white. And you find all the older people being there. Then they knew that one way or the other, they are capturing a specific quantity of people that they know their future is doomed. Because if you challenge an adult, you are challenging the progeny that will come thereof. If an adult does not perform, if an adult system is not well maintained, the children thereof are affected, which is the other thing. The third thing is that you look at where this thing of loans by the banks are coming from. And also the interest rates thereof. And also accessibility thereof. It's quite a challenge to the African people. Whereas if you look before, for other cultural groups to acquire a loan to service their loan based on their interest, it was highly reasonable. Prisons, or police stations rather, were occupied mostly by the African groups. Purely, if you think of it, back in the days, it was not because of what's happening now, because of theft, highly theft. No. It was because of disagreement with the previous regime or the government. Then they will arrest. So 70 to 80% of the prisoners at the time was due to political issues. When you don't agree with the government at the time, when they see that you're going to be a problem, you go to police station or prison. And when they see that you are an African genius, you've got an ability to change the world, or Africa, or South Africa by that matter, then they will assassinate you because you are too clever for the system. And the short and the fall is that many people, when they were born with the ability to see beyond, to excel and to succeed, like other people from other cultural groups. But what I foresee is that our mind was delayed, our mind was meant to believe that we can achieve. And just to share with you, at a very young age, at the age of 9, my father used to be, as an old man, back in the days, the 1970s, 1980s, my father used to be the chairman of the African National Congress within my locality, of course supported by the other groups. And then they later went to form civic association, which had to ensure that systems are in place at the time. The ANC was and later from civic, because it was older people, they went to a stage where now they start fighting for land, which almost 3 applications of the land that they were fighting for the community, they managed to get it. So at the time they were doing their work. By that time, there was no much interference of personal interest over a political interest. And the short and the fall is that at that young age, I started picking that no, something is wrong within the system. And I started working hard from the age of 9. I think if you go, I still repeat to many of you, go to my YouTube and listen to my YouTube, and you'll understand how from the age of 9 I started making money. There's nothing that I'm actually making in 2022. Most of the things that are happening in 2022 are the things that I've actually accumulated from the age of 9. What is basically happening is that those things are converting to passive income. And that's where many Africans lost it. And they didn't lose it because they want to lose it. They lost it because it was a system challenge. And I think I've had the privilege to be within the vicinity where I see the challenges head on, where my father is challenged by the police, where they take my brother, where they beat my sisters. It was bad. Luckily enough, I was young. And I said, I just have to do it right this time. I saw people that were coming at home, crying to my father, running away from the police, sleeping under the table at home. My mother will prepare food for them in the early hours of the morning. My brother at a very young age started working at the bank. So from a distance, I started realizing, from a business aspect, I was looking at my brother. From how to live aspect, I was looking at my parents. From how you can work hard, I was looking at my sisters with all that they were trying to do when they were young. And from a political point of view, I was sometimes mingling around on issues that I was not needed on because I was still very young. When they had a meeting, I'll gather there. And I've had a privilege to, at the age of, I think at around 10 years, to drive around with one of the premiers. For his privacy, I'll not mention the name. He would drive with me in a bakkie. I'll be selling watermelons when he's trying to pass messages to other politicians back in the time, in the 1990s, 80s. And I started seeing big things when I was young. I started having friends, member of parliaments, who are 30, 40 years older than me, because they saw something in me. But I would like to declare under this video that until today, in this hour, there's no politician that can claim any business with me. There's no politician that can claim that he ever did something for me, except on a normal level if I don't have bread or they don't have bread. That I understand. I worked the system by myself. From the age of 9, I studied business book. From the age of 9, I did my own businesses. As I was growing, when I work, I started well, and I studied well, and I completed well, and I did my business well to date. The other thing that you guys don't know, I also do forex trading. I also do crypto investment. And one of the crypto names is called Zenix Sapphire. I didn't do the crypto because I want money now. I did the crypto because I know 10, 20 years down the line further, it will pay back. and you'll be shocked when they pay me.